All right, good morning, everyone. This is Mike Moneypenny from the National Weather Service office in Raleigh, and we're going to be doing our morning briefing here. And to get started, everyone can hear me loud and clear and can see my screen. All right, I'm going to do it a little bit differently this week. I wanted to, since I'm the service hydrologist here at the office, I wanted to just bring to the forefront the idea that we're slipping into some drought conditions here in central North Carolina. So what I'm showing you on the screen right now is what we got in toto thus far from Hurricane Nate and his remnants as they moved up into the Ohio Valley and up further toward New England. Over the past 3 days, we've had a little bit of rain. Almost all of it, though, was over to the foothills and into the mountains of North Carolina. We've had a few showers that came up along the I-95 corridor, which gave us rainfall totals a little bit more than an inch. But for the most part, Nate has not been a real blessing for us. Most areas, really, were receiving less than a half an inch of rain over central North Carolina. And this is how it compares. This is our 30-day percent of normal for precipitation, and you can see that central North Carolina, eastern North Carolina, and up into southeastern Virginia, we're running quite a deficit over the past 30 days. So September and October have not been good for us, less than 25% of rainfall in a lot of the areas across the northern tier. And just take a quick notice that that does include the headwaters up above Lake Jordan and Falls Lake, as well as over at John H. Carr Lake, which is, of course, the big reservoir up on the North Carolina-Virginia border. Going out a little bit farther in time, basically for the summer, starting in June, this is the 90-day percent of normal, and you can see that that deficit does extend back in time, and over central North Carolina has really been missing out on the precipitation even as the summer progressed. So a lot of the area reporting less than 50% of normal precipitation for the 30-day or 90-day period, which is not good, especially in the summer when we're talking about temperatures, above 85, 90 degrees during the day. So we had pretty strong evaporation. Here's how our lakes have been faring. And if you'll notice where we are now at the end of the scale here, this is the beginning of October. And we're about 2 feet low at Falls Lake right now, where my cursor is. And look what happened last year. We were about normal, and then we had Matthew, which bumped us up about 7 or 8 feet above normal. So we're at the point we're at now. We're about 10 feet below where we were last year at this time in Falls Lake. Of course, that very high level was an anomaly in and of itself, too. And here's Jordan. Jordan Lake's about 3 feet below normal, and again, the effects of Matthew are quite evident from last fall when it went up to about 11 feet above normal. So we have considerable less water supply available to us as we're heading into the late fall into the winter. Here's what the drought monitor looks like from the U.S. Drought Monitor, and this is done weekly. We have a group in North Carolina here. We have a conference calls on Tuesday, and we talk about the lake levels, we talk about the river levels, we talk about agriculture, and the forecast, of course, and look for impacts around the state. And the top picture here is what we look like on July 4th, beginning of, or toward the middle of summer. So no drought conditions were in North Carolina, and now you see the steadily creeping abnormally dry conditions, which is basically an incipient drought. It means that it's not drought yet, but we are watching it very closely. So what's going to happen for the remainder of this week? As you can see, early this week, the remnants of Hurricane Nate, which are now post-tropical, are going to be moving up into New England. But we are in its wake, and we're going to have this very wet air mass in place with a southwesterly flow, so it's not going to take a lot to kick off showers or thunderstorm activity for the next couple of days as we remain in this very warm, very moist air mass. Problem is, we don't have a whole lot of things coming up that can kick them off. So this is going to linger on into midweek, and then we have a cold front coming through, and by the end of the week, well, cold front in name only, so to speak. Normally this time of year, temperatures are in the mid-70s for our high temperatures. So even after this front comes through, we're still looking at temperatures at least normal, and then quickly warming back up as we get into the weekend and high pressure builds directly over us. So we'll see temperatures begin to climb back up pretty quickly. Severe thunderstorm potential, we don't have any. We may get an odd shower or thunderstorm in this southwesterly flow, but nothing organized. Our flow is unidirectional, basically out of the southwest up to a very deep layer, so not conducive to severe thunderstorm activity. For precipitation, we've got a couple of days where we have chances of more widespread showers and thunderstorms, basically today and tomorrow, and perhaps early into Wednesday. So by Thursday we should be dried out, and then for the weekend continued dry. So our 7-day total may be on the high side, where you're looking at precipitation of 1.5 inches plus. That may be on the high side. It may be a little bit more scattered than that, but then again, this air mass is very, very wet. So those areas that do get showers, they can get a good bit of rain, half an inch of rain, pretty quickly. So cross fingers and hope that we do get some more organization as it moves across central North Carolina, so that we can hopefully kill some of that drought while we've got the wet conditions in place. Tropical update. Post-tropical storm Nate over there in northeastern Ohio, going to be moving on up into New England. And offshore we have recently named Ophelia, and that is well off to the east of Bermuda, way out there. And it's going to be moving to the north-northeast at 5 miles per hour, so actually moving away from the Atlantic coast and towards the Azores. No issues. Looking up to next week, our 8 to 14-day temperature outlook is that high pressure builds in. We're going to be settled into a warm air mass, so temperatures are going to remain well above normal as we get into next week and right up as we get into the latter part of the month, in fact. And precipitation-wise, there's not a whole lot of organized activity on its way. We can hope that we'll get some scattered showers and thunderstorms in a westerly or northwesterly flow aloft, but those are typically not exactly gully washers. So that I don't think that beyond the next couple of days our chances of showers are going to be diminishing and then holding pretty steady as we get into the latter part of the month. So in summary, here's our 7-day outlook, and you can see temperatures dropping off a little bit as we get into Thursday, and precipitation chances dropping off as well as we get into the late week period. That's 78 degrees for high temperatures. That's still above normal for this time of year. And then into the weekend, more sun and temperatures beginning to rise again. So not the most optimistic forecast for the water that we do need at the current time. And what I'll do now is open it up for any questions that we might have.